Hello students, Planning and Decision Making Lesson 3. In today's class, let us discuss about decision making significance, characteristics and principles of decision making, process of decision making, types of decision, problems involved in decision making. Let us first discuss on planning and what are the environmental uncertainties which affect the planning process. Let me define planning. Planning can be defined as a process which involves deciding the future course of action in order to achieve the goal. Planning is a process that includes determining the goals of an organization, creating and developing an overall strategy for achieving the set of goals and developing a complete set of plan for integrating and coordinating the organizational work. Planning is deciding in advance what is to be done. It involves selection of objectives, selection of policies, procedures and programs among the alternatives which are available. Coming to the environmental uncertainties which affect planning. Planning is always deals with future of an organization. What organization should do for a bright future. However, as environmental factors are uncertain, they directly affect organizational planning. A planner need to consider different types of environmental uncertainties. Environmental uncertainties, we have state uncertainty, effect uncertainty, response uncertainty. State uncertainty, it refers to unpredictable nature of the environment. This type of uncertainty assumes that environment is unpredictable. So therefore, it is unpredictable. Any construction activity is taking place. We can't predict whether there will be rain or not. This effect of planning of an event will have an impact on the construction of a building or road or a bridge. Okay, so it is state uncertainty means unpredictable nature of the environment. Coming to the effect uncertainty. Effect uncertainty refers to the environmental uncertainty which arise due to unpredictable impact of environmental changes. If it is raining, how much it will be? Whether it will be heavy or moderate. This affects the planning of on certain event like a football match or a cricket match. Response uncertainty. Response uncertainty refers to the unpredictable consequences or responses of planner to environmental changes. This type of uncertainty results in some responses to the uncertainties. During a cricket match, rain comes. What will be the response of match planners? In order to overcome these uncertainties, we have four types of responses which an organization can use. The types of responses are defenders, prospectors, analyzers, reactors. Defenders. In this response, organization need to focus on core competencies and it will make small changes in the event's structure, technology and method of operation. Prospectors. In this response, organization will start searching for new market opportunities and investing in developing and testing new products and services. Due to this response, there may be losses to organization as a result of continuous innovation of product and services. Analyzers. This response is the combination of defenders and prospectors. In this response, focus of the organization will be on changing business strategy as well as on changing product or market domains. It will identify and copy the best ideas of competitors while changing its product or market domain. Reactors. Under this response, organization responds to the changes made in environment only at the time of adversity. Usually during this response, organization will be slow in developing new ideas or may make changes forcefully. Now let us study decision making and its significance. Decision making is the selection based on some criteria from two or more possible alternatives. A decision is an act of choice wherein an executive forms a conclusion about what must be done in a given situation. A decision represents a behavior chosen from a number of possible alternatives. The management of the organization takes various decisions in the day-to-day activities of the business. The decisions taken by the management can be rational or irrational in nature. It usually the direction or guidelines given for a task, that is whether to do or not to do a particular task. The management selects the best decision from the various alternatives. If the management makes wrong decisions, then they cannot get the work done by the subordinates up to their expectation or point of view. It is one of the functions of the management. Now let us focus on the significance or importance of decision making. We have 5 important points which focuses on the significance of decision making. First point, it focuses on helps in evaluating managers' performance. The manager's performance can be evaluated by the decisions made by them. That is, whether the decision taken by them are successful or not, whether they have properly analyzed and evaluated all the alternatives. This will help in knowing the level of efforts put by manager to achieve the desired results. Helps in performing managerial functions. Managerial functions can be performed through the decision making, implementation of various plans and policies in the organization depends on the decision made by the manager. In order to achieve organizational goals, the management has to perform various functions like planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, controlling, etc. Thus, decision making helps in performing managerial functions of the organization. Helps in handling the changing aspects. The operations of a business are performed under the dynamic situation, that is, changes rapidly, changes made of different aspects like change of competition, change of technology, change in the government policy, changes in the internal and external factors. All these changes can be handled by making proper discussions with the members of the organization within the stipulated period. The business will be affected if proper decisions are not taken within an appropriate period. The changing situations can be handled only by taking right decisions at a right time. Helps in starting various activities. Decision making helps in starting various activities in the organization. An activity can be started when proper decisions are made at right time. All the activities, that is present and future activities, can be started after making proper decisions. In order to perform anything in the organization, decision making is very, very important. Helps in successful functioning of business. In order to carry on a business successfully, proper decision making process is necessary. Different problems in the day-to-day functioning of the business can be solved by taking proper decisions. Plans and policies of the organization can be decided by depending upon the decisions. The successful functioning of the business is done if proper decisions are made within proper time. Now let us discuss about the characteristics and principles of decision making. Characteristics, we have 10 characteristics, and regarding principles, we have 6 principles. Let us discuss in brief all the characteristics and also the principles of decision making. First, let us focus on the features or characteristics of decision making. The first feature of decision making is selection process. The management of the organization selects the best alternative from the various alternatives. It is a selection process. Decision making does exist when there is only one alternative. Intellectual abilities. It is the process of application of intellectual, creative and smart ideas. A perfect or correct decision making is done only by intelligent persons. Dynamic process. In day-to-day activities of the business, the management have to be take a number of decisions, and hence decision making is considered as a dynamic process. End process. It is considered as an end process as it is performed after going through various activities. A decision is made after conducting a detailed discussion on particular issue or particular topic. the most suitable alternative from the available options is chosen, then a decision is made regarding the particular issue or topic. Next important feature is satisfaction. There will be number of persons involved in the process of decision making. It gives satisfaction to the persons who have made efforts in collecting the information and making the process of decision making very effective. Objective oriented, the decision should be made in order to obtain the objectives of the organization. The decisions are always objective oriented. Evaluation, in the process of decision making, all the alternatives available for a situation can be analyzed by the critical appraisal method, and from the best decision will be evaluated. Situational process. The decision making is to be done by taking into consideration various aspects, like the decision made at that point should meet the problem in that situation. One problem, several decisions can be made, but that decision should suit the situation. Hence, decisions should be made in such a way that it suits the particular situation. Flexibility. The decision making process is very flexible in nature. The management or the person who takes decisions has flexibility to use the resources of the organization in different ways while taking a decision. And the last point or the last feature of decision making is negative or positive in nature. The decision made may guide others to do or not to do the task or work. It means decision can be positive or negative in nature. Now let us focus on the principles of decision making. We have a first principle, marginal theory. In economics, the economist's point of view, the main purpose of starting a business is to earn maximum profit. Hence, the decision taken by the manager in the organization should help in profit maximization. The manager follows the principle of law of diminishing returns because decisions are taken on the basis of marginal analysis. The marginal theory or principle explains that in the production process, if additional capital and additional labor are taken, then the production capacity increases and rate decreases. At a certain point, the production capacity remains unchanged. Even additional capital and labor is provided. At that point, the additional capital and labor appointed is stopped. In this way, the decisions relating to advertisement, sales, training, promotion, by applying marginal theory of decision making. Psychological theory. A decision is taken by a manager according to his personality, desire, technological skills, organizational status, and social status. Even though the manager is responsible to take decisions up to the extent of his power, some extent of emotional and psychological effect will be there on the decision, because decision making process is considered to be a mental process. Mathematical theory or principle. If decisions are taken based on mathematical theory, it gives scientific approach to the manager. Some of the mathematical theories, game theory, weighting theory, venture analysis, probability theory, they all help in taking decisions for our organization. Principle of limiting factors. The decisions are made after considering all fundamental by drawing a conclusion. The decisions may be based on limited factors like cost, resources, time. By considering the limiting factors, the manager is supposed to take good decisions. Principle of alternative. The process of decision making is a selection process. Involves selection of best alternative from the available alternatives after evaluating and screening. If there is only one alternative, then decision making will not be suitable at that time. After evaluating all the alternatives according to the situation and purpose, best alternative is selected. Principle of participation. The management will consider the suggestions of all the employees because management try to express employees that they are important, as every person wants to be considered as important in an organization. The opinion of subordinates is also collected even though they don't have any knowledge about the situation. This helps in increasing their confidence. If their opinions are impressive, then they can be applied in the decision making process. Now let us study the process of decision making. What is decision making? What is a decision making process? Decision making is a process involving information, choice of alternative actions, implementation, evaluation that is directed to the achievement of certain stated goals. The management of the organization takes various decisions in the day-to-day activities of the business. The decisions taken by the management can be rational or irrational in nature. Usually the direction or guidelines given for a task whether to do or not to do a particular task. The management selects the best decision from the various alternatives. In order to take good decision, some sequence of steps are to be followed by the manager. We have around 10 steps. The first step, it focuses on identifying the problem. The first step of decision making process deals with the identification of the problem. The manager should first identify the problem, because when the problem is identified well, it will be half solved. In order to take a quality decision, the manager should find the cause of the problem, which can be understood by checking the changes in the budget and financial reports after comparing the company's performance with the competitors' performance. Second step is diagnosing the problem. In the second step, the manager should diagnose the identified problem. Identifying and diagnosing the slightly different. A patient can identify that there is some disease, but only the doctor can diagnose what exactly the disease is. The manager has to diagnose what exactly the problem is, what is the cause and remedy for it. The third step focuses on collecting the appropriate information. In this step, appropriate information should be collected by the manager from various departments of the organization, which helps in examining the problem from different aspects. A good and quality decision can be made if the manager examines the problem from different angles. Identifying various alternatives. After collecting and analyzing all the appropriate information, various alternatives for that problem ought to be identified. The alternative should be more then only the manager will be able to take a good decision. If there is only one alternative, there is no decision making. Fifth step involves analyzing all the alternatives. In this step, all the alternatives should be analyzed with their merits and demerits. A manager should compare all alternatives, and a list of all alternatives with their limits should be prepared. Sixth step, evaluation of alternatives. In this step, the manager should evaluate the alternatives for selecting the best alternative. The evaluation is to be done by considering the risk that will arise by implementing them. All the tangible factors like money invested, profit earned, time taken, and intangible factors like goodwill, loyalty of employees, relations with the public should be taken into consideration. According to Drucker, a standard to evaluate the alternatives is the process of decision making. We have a risk factor, the extent of risk involved, efforts, the time, cost, and efforts associated, time, the urgency of the problem, availability of resources, availability of financial, physical, and human resources. And the seventh step, it focuses on the selecting the best alternative. In this step, actual decision is made by selecting best course of action from the various alternatives. The managers mostly make use of three approaches for selecting the best alternative. The approaches are experimentation, experience, research, and analysis. Coming to the eighth step, communicating the decision. In this step, decisions will be communicated. However, the decision made will have impact on future activities of the organization. So it should be communicated based on the policies of management. The alternative selected should be communicated with the persons concerned. By communicating the selected alternative, the implementation of the decision becomes very easy. Ninth step, implementation of a decision. After selecting the best alternative, the action should be implemented by the manager. The implementation of an action needs the active support of the organization and employees at all levels of the organization. This step can have an effect on all the above steps of decision making. The errors in this step can occur due to lack of active participation of all staff of the organization. This can be avoided by considering right and capable workers and managers in the decision making. And the final step is evaluation of results. After implementation, it is necessary to evaluate the results obtained from the action. If the results are in accordance with the specified objectives, the decision-making process will be considered as successful. The manager should evaluate the results for controlling the performance of the organization and for measuring the performance of the decision. If any negative results occur, manager should reassess the decision and repeat the above steps for taking appropriate decision to resolve the problem. Now, let us focus on types of decision. Types of decision. We have different types of decisions. The decisions are categorized broadly into 6 categories based on different criteria. Classification based on impact on organization. Classification based on the nature of decision and the nature of problems involved. Classification based on the number of individuals involved in the process. Classification based on importance. Classification based on the extent of freedom to decide. Classification based on the level of organization. So first let us focus on classification based on impact on organization. Here we have two things. It will be subdivided into two, basic decisions and routine decisions. The decisions which are important to the organization and are strategic in nature are called basic decisions. These decisions are also called as strategic decisions. These decisions have a major impact on the success of the organization. Example, location of plant, decision relating to distribution channels, design of organizational structure, etc. Routine decisions, the decisions which are related to the routine day-to-day activities are called as routine decisions. These decisions do not have any significant impact on the performance of the organization. The decisions related to the movement of raw material to production process, marketing of a product at a selected place, etc. Now, types of decision based on classification based on nature of problems involved. Here we have two. One is programmed decisions and other one is non-programmed decisions. The decisions which are taken by the management based on the past experience for resolving the structured problems are called as programmed decisions. Structured problems are clear and definite. It can be anticipated and are routine in nature. For solving these problems, the management can plan the decisions before its occurrence. The programmed decisions follow the policies, procedures, and rules which are fixed by the organization for a particular period of time. Programmed decisions may limit the freedom of the managers as they are taken as per the policy. It is a time saving process as the problems are anticipated and the management can plan to resolve the problems well in advance. Non-programmed decisions, the decisions which are taken by the management for resolving the complex, unanticipated and exceptional problems are called as non-programmed decisions. These problems are also called as unstructured problems. It is very important to take non-programmed decisions at every level of management. These decisions are specific in nature for resolving the non-routine problems. Third one, classification based on number of individuals involved. The decisions are classified into two types based on the number of individuals involved in the decision making process. Individual decisions and group decisions. The decisions which are taken by managers individually or any individual person of the organization without consulting others are called as individual decisions. These are routine in nature and do not have any major impact on the organizational success. The managers have the right to take individual decisions in certain conditions. Group decisions. The organizations mostly opt for group decision making. The decisions in which a group of members or managers and associates consult with the other group members are called as group decisions. These decisions are taken after reviewing the advantages and limitations of each alternative proposed by all the members. All the group members collectively resolve the problem. Strategic decisions are a type of group decisions which are taken by a group of managers from each department and board of directors. Classification based on importance. Major decisions, minor decisions. The decisions which are strategic in nature and are related to the significant aspects of organization like construction of a building for production, processing of products, business expansion are called as major decisions. These decisions require huge amount of money for implementation and are very specific decisions. Minor decisions, the decisions which are routine in nature and deal with the organizational aspect, are called as minor decisions. These decisions require low cost for implementation and are not specific decisions. Classification based on the extent of freedom to decide. Personal decisions, organizational decisions. The decisions which are taken by a manager without consulting others in the organization are called as personal decisions. The manager has the freedom to take personal decisions. Organizational decisions, the decisions which a manager takes by considering the organizational and environmental conditions and factors that are within the boundaries of the organizational policy, are called as organizational decisions. The manager either consults with the colleagues or subordinates or superiors while taking decisions, or takes the decisions independently. Classification based on the level of organization. Strategic decisions and tactical decisions. Strategic decisions are made by the higher level of the management after analyzing and evaluating all the alternatives carefully. These decisions have long term impact, and these are non repetitive. They have effect on the organizational goals, objectives, and some important policies of the organization. These decisions are costly for the organization. Tactical decisions are made by the medium level of the management, like division head, unit head, etc. These type of decisions are made to assist the strategic decisions. When a new product is produced, a tactical decision will be made whether to appoint a brand ambassador for the product or not. Features of strategic decision are as follows. They are taken by the top and middle level managers of the organization. They are taken for achieving the long term objectives of the organization. They are taken for increasing the productivity and decreasing the cost and time of organization. They play important role in the process of planning and forecasting. They allow to obtain competitive advantage by implementing the policies and technologies before the competitors implement them. Features of tactical decisions. They are taken by the departmental, operating and divisional level managers of the organization. They cover wide range of plans. They are taken for minimizing the utilization of internal resources of the organization. They mainly focus on controlling activities of the organization. They are taken for attaining the internal objectives and day-to-day activities of the organization. Now, coming to the problems involved in decision making, we have administrative problems in decision making. For example, determination of suitable time. Determination of suitable time is one of the major problem in the decision making process. The decisions should be made in most favorable time, because if the decisions are not made and on a suitable time, then it will be considered as a useless decision. Appropriate decision. Taking a correct and appropriate decision is the main problem of the management. After analyzing all the alternatives, decisions will be made, but the decision is appropriate or not is the main problem. In order to make a correct and appropriate decision, managers need to analyze various alternatives and situations. Organizational environment. The organizational environment is one of the problems that affect the process of decision making. If the organizational environment is favorable to the organization, it will be helpful in proper implementation of the decision. In such situation, there will be good assistance and understanding among all the persons or the organization, and it enables in the implementation of the decision effectively. Implementation. After making a decision out of so many alternatives, the problem of implementation arises. Proper assistance of managers and subordinates should be there in implementation of the decisions. The manager will be responsible. Manager will be the responsible person of decision implementation. If the decision made is wrong, then the manager is blamed, and when it is right, then he may be praised. Taking part in decision making. In many organizations, decisions of top level management are considered as such. This will affect the decision making process. Decisions of all the persons is to be considered because it gives wide range of alternatives. The management should consider decisions of more persons to avoid such problems in the process of decision making. Effective communication. The effective communication of the final decisions should be properly done. It should be clearly communicated to the persons in a reasonable language which enables them to understand the decisions easily. If the decision is not communicated properly, the implementation of the decision will be affected. Hence, proper communication is necessary in the process of decision making. Finally, let us focus on the challenges faced by the managers in decision making. Risk and uncertainty. While taking a decision, the manager has to keep in mind the factor related to risk and uncertainty. Level of risk and uncertainty is more, manager has to follow some principles according to that situation. Different perspectives. A manager has to make a decision by keeping different perspectives in mind which will satisfy different groups of persons in the organization. It will be very difficult for him to consider all the perspective. Suggestions of different groups. While taking a decision, it will be very difficult to collect suggestions of different groups. This will have great effect on the decisions. However, by considering thoughts of different groups, a better and more acceptable decision can be made. Combined decision making. When there are some issues in the organization, the manager has to consider the view of his subordinates which help in evaluating the merits and demerits of the decision before it is being implemented. This process of evaluating is known as participative method. However, the method is quite difficult to implement. Long-term effect. The decision should be made by keeping in mind the effect of the decision made should be long-term. The perspective is considered as one of the major challenges for the manager. So, with this, we have completed the unit 2 and planning and decision making. And in the next class, we can concentrate on organizing. Thank you very much.